Hello and welcome to episode number 36 of Just Shillin'. I know it's been a very, very long time since you've heard from us, but we're back, and I'm one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I'm your other host, Andy Bell. And yeah, how you doing, buddy? Uh, it's been, what, literally 3 days since we last spoke?
Yeah, I mean it. Not that it's not enjoyable. Like I do enjoy talking to you, but it's like nothing, not a lot's happened. I feel like
No.
it. That was also like a fever dream, though. At the same time, it's like I know I just spoke to you 3 days ago, but that was high energy, high anxiety, high like just
It's weird,
like in a
isn't
good
it?
way.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're very much back to normal this week, and it feels like I've survived an apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I'm just breaking out of the bunker, It's kind of like, what happened there? That was amazing. Big up to Hawes and Steve. Thank you so much for joining us at the weekend. That was such a blast. Um,
It's like Boxing Day. That's what it feels like. It's like
yes,
the uh the hype the hype has surpassed, and now it's like, well, now I just got to clean up the mess that I made in my office
yeah.
after anxiously just destroying it at the same time. But no, it was a good time. I really appreciate those guys hopping on. Uh they You can always, like, whenever we have a guest on, it's funny because I always feel like I learn something
Mm.
from people who've been doing this for way longer than 36 episodes. Just the social cues, the picking up and like carrying a conversation and like making it, keeping it engaging, carrying, keeping it interesting, like the give
Mm.
and take of when to pause, when to let somebody talk, and like how much is enough, and to keep it engaging. And like it's always very interesting, and I feel like I'm learning a lot from people. So yeah, that's an added bonus.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And those guys are, I mean, they jump in, right? I mean, they're committed. It's sure it's our show, but good God, they don't need much prompting to
Yeah,
get involved. They were awesome, absolutely awesome. I'm so grateful that I mean, the idea of choosing a subject matter close to close to our guest's heart is to engage with them, and like I said during the episode, to get to know them a little bit more. But they really, really embraced it and came prepared, which was awesome, absolutely
yeah.
awesome. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But yeah, to your point, it's only been a couple of days, and it's kind of like, well, what do we do now then? So have you been up to much in the last couple of days?
Not I mean, not really. I've been pretty swamped with work. All those weeks of me saying like, oh, work's light. Similar to what you. I mean, it's vastly different than what you're probably dealing with. Um, this is just not critical pressure.
Mm.
But basically just everything kind of coming to a head at once, and then it's also partially my own fault. Like seeing something get delivered, and it's like, hey, you guys know that's like not right, and so then I got to get involved and because that's my own
Mm.
fault for doing that. And but yeah, it's been super busy. Just prepping for the upcoming weeks. I mean, it's been a crazy busy summer and stuff. We got a crazy couple weeks ahead too, and
Mm.
just trying to keep our head. I mean, it's all good stuff, but just got to stay on top of it, make good use of my time when I can, and so I can have time for Outlaws and all the other crap that I
Yeah.
want to do in my free time.
Yeah, it's
What about you?
scary just how. Yeah, well, I was just about to say it's scary just how close we are now to winter.
Mhm.
There's something we've got going through a bit of a warm spell in the UK at the moment. I wouldn't say it's sunny. It's particularly sunny and summer like, but it's quite humid. It's a very, very unusual humidity that we don't normally get this time of year, and yet, to your point about work, those deadlines I was talking about, I'm what, 12 days away from certainly one of the three deadlines I've got. So it's just shot by, despite it being quite brutal, um, to my schedule and my sometimes my mental health as well. But yeah, we're coming to the end of the first part of that. So which is something to look forward to. And as such, October's not that far away now. Weekend after next, I've got plans with the UK contingent of the Scruffies. We're doing another, antique toy fair
Nice.
event, and then it's also there's a rerun of The Empire Strikes Back in the local cinema, so we're taking that in. I've told you this before, but that seemed like a long way away, only a few weeks back, and now it's right on
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And no sooner is that weekend over, we'll be planning for Halloween, and then we're taking a week off in November just to recharge our batteries, and then it's holiday in the end of the year. It's like, good God, this year has flown by. But like you, it's not an awful lot going on in the last couple of days. There are a couple of updates I've got for you. As I said, making firmer plans with the Scruffy boys as to where we're going to meet, when we're going to meet, what's going on, what the itinerary looks like, which is going to be good fun. Haven't had a chance to play Outlaws since you and I spoke last. And actually, let me rephrase that. I did play a bit of Outlaws, but I completely lost everything, all the progress I've made. So what I did was, after we spoke on Sunday night, I couldn't get to sleep. So I thought, I tell you what, I'll just slip out and play an hour or so of Outlaws and run around Akiva, the new planet, and find out what's going on there. And I got to I then started finding myself getting a bit drowsy. Looked at the clock. Yeah, it's 2:00 now. It's time to. Now you're feeling drowsy. Now that's your body saying it's time to go to bed. And that that adrenaline high that I had from recording with the gents was kind of wearing off. And in loading my in saving my game, I loaded a game instead.
Oh,
So
no.
I lost. Yeah. So I lost everything, all that progress I'd made in an hour, which was fine because I probably wasn't at peak performance anyway, but it was a little bit annoying at the time. So I haven't. So the net result is that I haven't played any more Outlaws since we last spoke, or certainly made any progress since we last spoke. And the other thing, I don't want to go into it too much, but it's quite funny. I don't do an awful lot of social media. I use Facebook, as you know, for keeping up with family. I typically use X to keep up my side of the agreement between you and I, and that I'll use that to promote the pod, while you focus on Blue Sky. And then, of course, the normal stuff I like to talk to you guys about a little bit more privately and a little bit more of a closed circle. I'll do on Discord. Anyway, I was posting up the episode my Monday morning, and I just had to look at my profile. And I thought, oh my good God, I don't reach out to people. I'm not particularly prolific when it comes down to looking for followers or anything like that. I just do it to follow the people that I'm engaged with. I don't use the platform for anything else. And my follower count had quadrupled, and I thought, oh my God, this is a shock, and a surprise, but a welcome one. And then I actually looked into it, and I have in the last 2 days removed over 160, maybe nearly 170 followers. Let's just say that the people that were following me have never posted, number one. And number two, they all seem to have been created in 2023 within a 3-month span. So it just seems so ironic that nearly 160 people, 170 people that decided to follow me all seem to have joined Twitter or joined X within that 3-month window, which, I don't believe in coincidences. And then lastly, should we say, one or two of them on their profile had a link to a rather inappropriate and raw
spicy
website.
Pictures.
Yes, yeah. So back to normal, back down to my huge base of 60, 70 people, which I feel comfortable with. Thank you very much. It's the first time I've ever experienced it. It's the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. And I was in two minds. Do I keep them? Do I keep them there on my account just so I look as if I'm getting really damn popular these days? And I thought to myself, no, because if any of my mates actually go in to have a look at the people that are following me, they'll think I'm some sort of deranged old fart that probably needs some sort of therapy. Anyway, so they've all gone. So everything.
What am I going to do with all these millions of dollars I'm going to get from going viral?
Yeah. So everything, not only after Sunday, but everything is very much back to normal, with the exception of one thing, and it's a really good bit of news. And I hope you haven't read the shared notes that we
I did not
shared together. But Lucy found out today. She went to a conference today as part of her work, and I think I've told you before, she works for the NHS, the National Health Service. But she contracts an awful lot of the work that she does to them. So she's kind of like she runs an awful lot of the what they call primary care networks, which is basically a bunch of networks of doctors' surgeries that come together to pool their resources and pool their funding, and she kind of manages those kind of institutions. Anyway, she went to a conference today and found out that she's eligible for a Costco card. Yay!
Yes! Yeah! Let's go!
So I was bringing her back this evening from the train station because she took the train into London for the conference, and then we were talking about it, and I screamed at the top of my voice, which I don't think went down particularly well with her. And then I explained to her that it was my life's ambition to go to Costco, and I explained the conversation that you and I had on it, and the fact that we'd spent so much time on a pod recently, or an episode recently, talking about Costco and the benefits of Costco. And then I got her to look at my phone and to look at the photographs you sent me. Even the one where kind of you locked Malison in that shed, and so on and so forth. And she's up for planning a trip because, as I said to you, my nearest Costco is about at least an hour away. But she's up for us having a instead of having a date night, we're going to do a trip to Costco. So I am stoked and made up by that latest news.
So it's basically how it was before, but there's been a slight change. It sounds like she's taking you on a date to Costco instead of the other way around. So now we're back on the rails. We're going back to Costco, and you're gonna shove that card in their face and be like, "Ha! I can get in.
I can get in.
Roll out the red carpet.
My wife can get in, and I'm here as her bodyguard. Yes,
we can get in. Now, where are the hot dogs? So I'm curious,
exactly.
Are they $1.50 over there as well? I don't know if you know yet or not, because maybe you'll have to.
I've never been.
I've never been.
So exciting. So I am gonna film. I'm gonna turn it into a vlog. Actually, I'm gonna Andy. Sorry, the Bells Go to Costco is gonna. I'm gonna just provide you with constant updates on our
excited
on our experience.
I'm very excited. Yeah. So my one request is to see if they have the hot dog and Coke or soda combo, because I know there's like a famous quote from the Costco co-founder that says of him saying, if you raise the price of the effing hot dog, I will kill you. So that's like, it's kind of like a joke. It's always $1.50. I think it's $1, like $1.50 for like a hot dog and a soda. So I'm curious if that applies over there.
Is the hot dog and soda like a tradition of Costco in the same way that the meatballs are a tradition of IKEA?
I think it's becoming.
Do you understand what I mean by that?
Like the tradition, as in every time you go, you got to get one.
Well, no. I mean, IKEA's all over the world in their restaurant. They should be serving up meatballs, Swedish meatballs.
I think that's what I'm trying to get you to check on, because I know they have them everywhere here, and so and I know they're adding more. Like they have these these chicken bakes and mocha smoothies and pizza. Like their pizzas are gigantic, and you can get them too. But the hot dog the hot dog is like the staple. Like the hot dog and the soda combo for $1.50 is like they can raise prices on anything except for that. So I'm curious if over there, if it's the same rule
I
applies,
will
you can get a hot
I
dog
will
and a
report
Coke.
I will report back to you, sir. I promise you. But no, I'm stoked. I'm stoked, mate. It's even, I don't even care if I go there and I'm disappointed now. The fact that I can go now, I'm absolutely stoked. I really am
Yeah,
stoked.
no one wants to feel like they're not invited into the club. It's like, it's not even the fact
Yeah.
that like, I don't even necessarily want to go. I just want to not be told that I can't come in. Like,
Mm,
if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna be like, we'll see about that.
mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
No,
reminds me. That reminds me of
I feel very superior at the moment.
that actually reminds me of a piece of an update I have. I remember what it is now because of your Costco story. And dude, first of all, I'm so excited. Let's talk. I don't want to move forward yet. That's awesome. I'm excited. Do you have a date yet? Or
No,
is it,
no. So we've
anxiously awaiting it?
we've got this weekend coming up, and this weekend we've got workmen coming in, laying new carpet down
Mhm.
in Lucy's office. And then that should be nearly complete. On the Sunday, there's a few things that I want to buy. We're going to a retail park near us, and that is because there's a particular lampshade I want for that room to kind of finish off the room nicely. We'll wait for things like blinds and stuff. That'll happen when it happens. And then the following weekend, obviously, I've got the visit to the with the scruffies, and then I'm away with work the following week, and then the following week we have a visitor, as you know, coming to the UK.
Yeah.
I've volunteered to be their taxi driver for a couple of days. So it's going to be a while till we go, but good God, once all this other stuff get out of the way. Oh, and on top of that, I need to finish off the garden. I haven't finished off the garden yet, and in fact, I didn't get a chance to
But what if there's
do.
tools at Costco that could help you with the garden? Just saying. Just
Yeah,
saying. Who knows?
yeah,
Finish the garden. Don't get in trouble.
yeah. I think I'll finish the garden first. I'm scoring so many brownie points at the moment, especially with the office, that I don't want to
Tempt fate.
rock the boat. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think no. It'll be an October thing. It'll
Nice.
be a late October thing that we when we go, and it'll be just the two of us, and we will have a magnificent time, and then we will all hail Sean Hoffman for sowing the seed in my brain in the first place.
I will not be held accountable for the potential receipt that comes from it. So like I encourage
Oh
people
no
to
no
go
no
to
no
Costco,
no
but
no no
I am not responsible for the mistakes that you make in decision making while you're there.
no! Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. We're good. We're good. So tell me your news that you'd forgotten.
So there's two things actually. One of them is really light. One of them is just like a tip something that I never knew, and then we did it, and it turned out really well. So I've never lived somewhere that's had like an old paint drop off, like a can of paint that you paint your walls with. Um, they're like, oh, you can instead of like because you're not really supposed to put them in like the garbage because they can have
No,
stuff in them. So they
lead or
like
yeah.
yeah, like you have old cans of paint, and so they'll organize this thing once a year or whatever. There's companies that do it. And they'll say like, come to the school and drive this thing, and you can drop off your old paint. But the thing is, the thing I didn't know, and that Madison clued me into, and we went to was she's like, they also like they go through all of it, and some people or some companies or retailers or whatever will donate stuff that like they don't carry anymore, or maybe it's like an old paint code, or whatever. It's like old stock, and so they go through that and then they bring them to these events, and you can go and get free paint. So like even if it's some like you can get paint that somebody bought and didn't like the color of, but then never returned to the store. Or the real key is like hardware stores will be like, oh, they have a new formula for this, so like donate these like 60 cans of like paint
Oh, cool.
base. So we went there. I'm like, this is going to be dumb. This is going to be like one of those things where you go and it's going to be like, oh, you can get a half a can of the worst color green in your life. No, no, it was not. They had pallets. I'm telling you, pallets full of brand new, unopened, like exterior stain base that you can go and get tinted. And
Wicked.
We walked out of there with like 14 gallons of paint that I don't even know what we're gonna do with half of it yet.
You
But
didn't
what
pay a
at the end of
dime.
the day, not a dime. They write our name down on an iPad and they say, "Thanks for coming." And they loaded it in the car and we drove away. It's like fantastic. Like we've got a couple gallons to do like some of our like our dump room.
Mhm.
That's a whole story we should talk about sometime. And then we got a bunch of like I think we got 10 or 11 gallons of just exterior stain base, so that way we can take it and get it tinted and do whatever we want with it. And like I looked it up and it's still good. Like it's not like it's defective, everything like that. So pro tip, if you have those, if you hear about that stuff, check them out because you can get like $600 worth of paint for free. And it's
And
awesome.
it's all because it's end of line. So it's perfectly
Um,
good paint. It's just a case of the code's changed.
Yeah, it depends. Like, so the ones that were donated, like the ones that we got in bulk, like the base, that's what happened. They came out with a new line of like combined new formula, new paint code, and so they just got they took them all out of inventory and had everybody donate them. And so because it's cheaper than shipping them back to the manufacturer, because the manufacturer doesn't want them, and so and you can't dispose of them
Well,
because they're
it's
full
probably
cans of
sale.
paint.
It's probably sale or return anyway. So the manufacturer be like, we won't bill you for them as
Yeah,
long as you register them and and we consider them destroyed in the field. Then just get rid of them. Just get rid of them.
yeah.
That's really
And
cool. That's really really
so
cool.
it's like sweet, that's fantastic. So and it's also, I mean, the other part is good. It's like the amount of this. I was amazed at the number of people who were going there and dropping off paint. Like they had semi trucks in this parking lot, and
Mm,
people just bringing them. It's like, dang, do we all just have like 70 cans of paint in our
mm.
houses? Like, it's that's cool. It was cool to see. So that was that. That was
Well,
cool. Fun pro tip.
there's a lot of people that have worked for us before in the house that they estimate what the materials are going to be, and they'll
Yeah.
buy the materials which become part of the bill.
Hmm.
Now, in the early days, if they're a one man band or they're an operation that's relatively small, yeah, they might want to improve their margins and take stuff back to the store or
Hmm.
the merchant that they bought it from in order to have a bit of a return, because I've already paid for it up front. It's all part of the cost of the
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
But I guess the bigger you get and the more your return on investment, shall we say, it kind of changes direction. Who can be bothered sending,
yeah. It's not
taking
worth
back
it.
one or two cans of paint? So I'm not surprised, but it's a really cool idea, really really
Yeah.
cool idea.
Like a part of me wants to look into what they actually do with all of it. Like, because it's a company. It's like a company that goes around. They're like, can we? And you can also take this with. Yeah. It's. I'll report back at some couple months from now when I finally dig into like what actually happens with all that. And like it was
Yeah.
cool. It was neat. The other thing was we were talking about getting into clubs like Costco and stuff like that. So um we we were doing that trail work. We've been doing that trail work stuff, the volunteer stuff. Well, there's somebody we met a couple weeks ago who blah blah blah. Somebody we met through that. And they happened to be in the area last weekend, and they
Mhm.
invited us to come to this event. Like, like they live a couple hours away, but they were in town. They're like, "Hey, you should come to this thing Sunday night after we recorded." And we're like, "Yeah, cool." So that's neat. So we went there, and what it is, it's like this. Um, it's like a it's like a club where like there's these like alpine lodges. Um, there's one in like the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's one here. I'll have to send you a photo of. I can't believe I forgot to send it to you. But it's like this old Forest Service land, old like lodges from like the 1900s, and you can like if somebody like invites you to come, you can like become a member, and then you get like use of these lodges if you want. Like you can reserve it, kind of it's like your
Nice.
kind of a private hotel for dirt cheap, like
Oh wow.
between like 25 to $50 a head, so you can like host like 40 people. Like if you're having whatever, it's like, dude. Like, they're, like, showing us around, it's like, "Dude, can we become members, like, right now? Like, is
Mhm.
that too aggressive? Because they're trying to get a younger contingent in because it's, like, a bunch of really, really old people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're like but they want people to, like, take care of it. It's not like a party place, it's really meant to be, like, a place of sanctuary. We just happen to live really close to one.
Mm.
And so we're like, "Dude, how do we, like, get in, but, like, not be sound too eager?" So, like, playing this game of, like, this is we've seen this place a million times. We've been up here a million times, but we had no idea what this was. It's like, ooh,
Mm.
I feel like I'm part of like I'm well, first I was like, what kind of cult
I was going to say, what
weird
kind of
weird
initiation
is it?
ceremony
That was
have
my
you got to
first thing.
go
I was
through?
like, but then the more we talk to them, they're like, they seem to really struggle to get people because it is all self-sustained. And I'm like, dude, I lived in a place like that in college. Like this reminds me of college. I lived in a co-op and
Mm.
like we did all our own work. And they're like, oh, here's our big industrial kitchen. It's like, yeah, this is what we did. Like I'm familiar with this. And they're like, yeah, you got to do some work. But like the dues each year are like $100 for a family. It's like, that's it. Like what do we talk? Like where do I sign? Like because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
up way
yeah.
up high above the lake and it's on this cliff and it's like it's fucking beautiful. I'm like, can I join now? Can I become a member? Can I like how can I get involved? Uh, so keep you
No,
posted on
that
that.
sounds
But
awesome. There's a place, I can kind of imagine it. There's a place in Washington State called Suncadia,
mhm,
but that's, I would say, more of a private members club, less of a less of a um it's more it sound I mean, I thought it was quite aloof. Do you know what I mean? It was like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's waiter service and all that shit. It's a little bit less um self-catering, more private members, and I felt very, very much out of my league because part of this Suncadia club, and they do, all of the sports and everything,
Mhm,
is also there are private properties in the area as well that become affiliated with the club as well. So it's like these are
mm,
second homes for an awful or winter lodges that people buy to go skiing,
mm.
and the rest of it. Um, is it? I'm trying to think of the mountain in Washington. Is that Mount Rainier? You know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
quite a
yeah,
few mountains out around there,
yeah, yeah.
and this place. I mean, it's beautiful. It's some of the most stunning countryside I've ever seen. Um, but that's the closest I think I've ever been to anything like that. Really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. You
Well,
do have some other news.
oh, so let me cap that off because I was
Oh,
thinking if
sorry.
we can join, then we can have a Just Chillin' Friends meetup in Tahoe one year.
Oh,
We invite everybody out, and then we can all
can you
stay at
imagine
this
that?
lodge. So we're not staying in that my house is gonna catch fire. We can stay somewhere else where there's
That's
room.
going to catch fire. Excellent.
No, it's not gonna catch fire because they don't have stupid electrical stuff like our house has. But
Oh,
this
okay.
this would be a good place where there's room for people, and we could all have
Yeah, that would be
a
so
good time.
cool.
Yeah,
We can get Jimmy in the kitchen.
yeah, just grilling. Yeah, I like it.
We could film it.
We could put Chris as far away from Jimmy in the kitchen, so that way he doesn't have to hear Jimmy talking about the food. How about that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly. But you
I
do
I
have
have
some
other
other
news.
news.
I do have other news.
Did you were you lucky over the last week? Did you win
Uh,
something?
oh my god, yeah, I did, dude. It's getting to be ridiculous. We
I'm
went
very proud of you,
to
by the way. I'm very, very proud of you. I was stoked when I saw it.
we went to this event, that was so there's a trail that goes all the way around Tahoe. It's called the Tahoe Rim Trail. We went to an event for that where they were kinda, like, raising awareness, doing fundraisers, and had all this other crap, but they also were doing, like, giveaways and stuff, and knowing me, I can't help. I gotta get involved. I gotta be like I mean, you can't win if you don't play, so
Yeah.
you gotta get in it. Um, and there was
So it's
lots
just
of
a
prize I
raffle.
mean, there yeah, just like lots of yeah, there's lots of prizes and stuff on the table. Like, there's other stuff you could, like they had some other things where you could, like, go do like, kids could go do activities and get tickets, and then they could use those tickets to get other prizes, and then they had other it was just like, the rules and stuff didn't make a lot of sense for a lot of these things, but, like, throw your name in the hat. You never know. But they had some really, really cool they had, like, like, $1,100, like, electric scooter, like so, like, I didn't, like, win the grand prize, but, like, I mean, winning is winning. So I did win something, and it was very funny. I won a, similar we were talking about that trail crew stuff a couple weeks ago where
Exactly.
I was learning how to use the 5.5, 6 foot long crosscut saws. And the prize that I won at this event was a mounted antique crosscut saw blade with Tahoe rim trail and the PCT trail like logos emblazoned on this wood. And it's all mounted. It's got hardware and stuff, and it's like a 5.5 foot, 6 foot long thing. And man, there were some people who were not happy
I
that they
bet.
did not get that. And
I bet
I'm
it may not be one of those high profile prizes, but I tell you what, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. After the work you just done, it was meant to be. I'm
there
really
were
stoked for you, man.
there were people who there was two prizes that people were like looking at the people who got them and they were like not happy. One was us, and the other one was like a trail post that used to be out on the trail, like that had like arrows and like the directions
Yeah.
on it. Like people really wanted that, and this crosscut saw. I mean, I'm sure they wanted the scooter and other stuff as well, but they were like, "Mm."
So I didn't pick up on the detail from the photos you shared. So this is an antique saw. This is not one for you to use. This is a
No,
prize saw that is mounted. That
yes,
you
it's mounted to be like an artwork kind of thing. Like it's an old, it's kind of, it's not rusty, but it's really weathered and it's not like super sharp. But yeah, they mounted it on that. So I think I sent a picture of it like leaning against the
yeah.
wall with the cat sniffing it. It's mounted to that wood, like, and that wood's got brackets and stuff on it so you can hang it up. And then on the corners, somebody, I don't know how they did it, but they took like they made like a heated metal iron, and they emblazoned like both those trails logos on the
Awesome.
corners. So it's cool because Madison hiked the PCT and TRT's by us, and that's what we work with. We're like, dude, this, like, it's fate, it's destiny.
Meant to be. Absolutely.
We deserve this song.
Yeah.
But
No, that's cool.
no, it was really cool. Thanks for reminding me of that. I totally forgot. I mean,
No,
I hung it up like 2 days ago, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I wanted to talk to you about it on Sunday, but it wasn't appropriate on Sunday. So I knew that I'd made a note. You've got to ask him about the saw, and I think it's fantastic, and that will look fantastic just above or below your mounted tauntaun head above the fire.
Would it go well with the bear that's still in my office?
Hey, listen, I'm not going to get into your domestic discussions with your better half, so I think it'll go really well.
That's a good.
With
That's a good.
the bear, unless Madison asks me, in which case,
Fair.
no, it's a terrible idea.
Man, the bear should stay in the office, just like how your stuff stays in your shed.
Yeah, this ain't going anywhere, mate. This ain't going anywhere. I mean, a big part of the reason why we had the office redone was to make to make Lucy comfortable, but also other part of it as well was the remaining stuff that's not in here and up there. She wanted it out of sight, so I had to create some more storage. So my junk can be put away, so she doesn't have to look at it. Cool, man. What about any news? Have you heard anything in 2 days? I've got something I want to talk
I've
to you
got
about.
one
Sorry.
thing. I've got
Go on.
one, but I don't want to step on your toes because I just remembered it. So let's hear your news first, since you're probably
Well,
more prepared than I am.
Well, it was only on the Sunday that we recorded. I failed at Outlaws and then went straight to bed. So the Monday morning I woke up and I heard the good news about the Emmys. In particular, I mean, I won't go through the whole list or anything. I was really, really stoked for Shogun.
Yeah,
Shogun already
Shogun.
had already won 14 of the creative Emmys that we worked out the previous week. But it won Best Drama Series. It won Lead Actor. Let me just Lead Actor. So Hiroyuki, he was awarded the award for Best Actor, which I'm really, really chuffed about. And then I'm most chuffed that Anna. I'm gonna really butcher her name. Is it Anna Sawai or Anna Sawai? She won the best actor, female actor. I don't like the word actress, but the best female actor. in a drama series. So I'm really, really stoked for them. The fact that they were, for me, awarded for all of the creative stuff that made the world so rich, vibrant, and believable, as being very much set in feudal Japan, and then to get the acknowledgement of those two actors in particular, but also
Yeah.
the series itself coming back with the grand prize. I'm really, really happy, and we've talked about it before. Really excited, looking forward to what they do with season 2. Little bit of trepidation because they've got to create new content. They don't have source
Yeah.
material for it, but
Well, it's
if it's
exciting. It's
if
exciting
it's
they see
done
that they're
right,
getting the
it should be good.
recognition
Yeah,
because I'm not hearing the conversations that I expected to hear with how good that show is. Like, I know we wax
yeah, yeah,
poetic
yeah,
about it all the time, and we have some friends who are really into it, but, like, it doesn't seem to have captured the, like, the larger kind of cultural attention, and, like, to see it,
yeah.
like, just do some damage at the Emmys, it's like, "Yes, awesome, I'm not crazy." It was that good, and it is getting recognition for how good it was. It's really exciting. It makes me really happy to see that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is down to just the saturated streaming market that we find ourselves
Mhm.
in today. I mean, I noticed recently, our friend Catherine was talking about just how much choice there is. It's almost too much choice, um, and a series is a good series is appreciated and celebrated, but then you move very quickly on to the next thing because there is
Mhm.
so much content out there. If I read down, you've got in the same year, you've got amazing shows like Fargo, The Bear, um, The Morning Show. You've got Baby Reindeer. Oh, God, I'm not going back, never going back to that series. But anyway, you've got Baby Reindeer as well. You've got, there are so Only Murders in the Building. There is so much richness there in only one year. Um, that quite frankly, it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult for something to sustain
Yeah.
its its accolade for a long period of time. But
Nothing
yeah,
feels
I'm
compelling.
really
Nothing
made
feels
up.
compelling enough to, like,
No,
bring you in from an excitement because there's just so much.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Um, the other news I picked up on was that, and it's on, I believe, is it Empire? Is it Empire magazine? No, Entertainment. Sorry, Entertainment magazine were doing preview of some of the shows that are coming out during the fall and during the winter. And there's some new shots there of Skeleton Crew, which made me whoop with glee because
Mhm.
I mean they've even said in the article itself it will feature space pirates in a big way, which only makes sense, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if it's a Space Goonies, and it's a rip roaring time with them with pirates, it makes absolute sense that pirates are going to feature in a big way. But one of the pictures in particular was a new image or a new shot of Jude,
Mhm.
um, which looks great. I mean, he doesn't look like the scruffy nerf herder that we saw in the trailer, and across his body is what looks like a pretty good flintlock pistol. So straight out of something like Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'm a bit of space pirates. I'm well up for that. One of my favorite ever didn't do very well actually, but one of my favorite ever Disney productions was Treasure Planet. I love that.
Ooh,
I love
I
that.
like that.
I love the whole sci-fi come steampunk. I mean, steampunk if it's done right. I'm not talking Wild
Yeah,
Wild
yeah, yeah.
West. I'm talking if it's done. Sorry, let me correct myself. I'm not talking Wild Wild West movie. I'm talking Wild Wild West comic. If you understand what I mean by the difference there. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
love anything like that. And so therefore, because Treasure Planet is one of my favorites, I just took one look at this and I thought, yes, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be
I
a
read a
blast.
I was sent an article recently
Yeah,
from some people that we know mentioning. I mean, I years and years ago, I went through and like made sure I've watched every single a canon Disney movie because I was like, oh, there's some I
yeah,
hadn't seen like through certain periods. Treasure Planet is really good. It's way better than it has any right to be. Um,
yeah.
but there was a poll that was done, and Treasure Planet was like at the top of the list of like a really good Disney movie to watch while you're on psychedelics. And the more you know. Thought I'd
Well,
share.
that, that would explain an awful lot. I love it. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Um, what else did I pick up on? The other thing I pick up on, in the theme of video gaming, we might as well keep it going. Respawn, the guys that developed the Star Wars Jedi series. So starting with Fallen Order, and then obviously more recently Survivor. They're working on their final on the third episode of that
Mhm.
trilogy, and they've confirmed it's the final chapter. I hope this isn't the end for Respawn itself. Because I'm not quite sure. They were meant to be developing a first person shooter as well, and I don't know whether there's any news on that or whether that's been cancelled or whatever. But I certainly don't want to think that this is, that now that the trilogy is tied up. I hope that's not the end of it. I actually hope that maybe Cal and that storyline can maybe find its way to the screen as well. We shall see. We shall see. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If they end it right and it ties it up with a nice bow, then fair play. But yeah.
It'll be
And the
nice to
only
see the conclusion to like that arc, like the arc that he has.
yeah,
Like I'd
yeah,
love to
yeah, yeah,
still see the
yeah,
character, but like a conclusion to that story that he's on would be it's exciting.
it's just
I'm excited.
bouncing. It's just bouncing so close to that Kenobi story as well.
Hmm.
The fact that he's part of the hidden path, the fact that he's found a utopia or a safe place for them to hide. It's so close. And maybe
That's
they
the
won't do
sleeper
anything.
arc. That's the sleeper arc
Yeah,
that I'm still hopeful that is like one day it's all gonna come together and they're gonna be like, we knew it all along, all these other properties, like
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
Mandoverse, which is like in your face. But no, we've talked about it a million times, like with Bad Batch
yeah,
and stuff. It's like, oh, it's gonna happen someday. They're gonna figure
yeah.
it
It's
out. Ooh, I'm hopeful.
it's so close. Not everything needs to have connect. Not everything needs to have connective tissue with other parts,
Hmm.
but the fact that there is such an obvious association with other properties or other titles
Hmm.
that avoiding it kind of seems a little bit pointless. We shall
Yeah.
see. And then the last piece of news that I picked up, obviously, I talked a little bit about at the weekend, was that Donald Glover interview with the that wasn't the New York Times. Who was it with? Washington Post. Um, they Yeah, I'm really stoked for that. There's nothing more I can add from what I talked about on Sunday. That was kind of the trinity of pieces of news that I couldn't get through on Sunday. But all really positive, which is lovely, which is great. Okay, dude. Any news from your side?
I got
You
one.
picked up on.
They announced the Lego sail barge. I don't know when they announced it, but it's been in the zeitgeist a little bit recently. It's almost 4,000 pieces. It's going to be $500, releasing October 6th. Uh Absolutely massive. It looks cool. I'm a fan. I will not buy it. Um the thing that's interesting for me is like this is really just like a secondary thought of it's fascinating to me how popular the sail barge has become
Mm,
in terms of vehicles. Like, I mean, it's always
mm,
been big, but like obviously, like the first HasLab, this gigantic Lego, and like you see it really, the katana really kind of becoming like the go-to. And I always
mm,
wonder, like, is it that popular? Like, not this is not a dig. I think it's a cool design. Like, is it that popular, or is it just one that's easy to translate and can come with a lot of characters? Like, what I'm curious of like the behind like the psychological reasons of like why has the katana become so big? Like when there are like it's like Star Destroyers, katana. Those are, and then there's like the Falcon and X-Wing is smaller scale, but like there's so many Star Wars ships out there that are like recognizable. And this to
Mm.
once again say it's like this is not a criticism at all. Like it's kind of coming out like one, but it's not. It's like there's so many Star Wars ships. What is the fascination with the katana? Like in
Because it's not a ship.
yeah,
I think it's simply because it's not a ship. I mean, if you think about the iconic, I mean, there is one, you know, there was one. You think about ground transportation, you think of the ATAT, you think of the katana, and because I think
scan
it's also
crawlers.
because
Yeah,
I think the whole underworld thing is also, and I think an awful lot of that may or may not be down to recent events with Outlaws coming out. But
the smuggler kind of seedy
yeah,
underbelly, scum and
I
villainy.
think I think the whole when you think about the whole, and it's kind of started with Solo, not so much the film, the film Solo, but the idea of these criminal syndicates. We always knew they were
Mhm.
there in the EU. In the in the films, it was only the Huts
Yeah, yeah.
were the only known crime gangs in or the only organized crime in the galaxy. But you know, with things like the Clone Wars, we got introduced to the Pikes. We got introduced to in Shadows of the Empire. We got introduced to Black Sun. With Solo, you got introduced to Crimson Dawn. So all of a sudden, there's this kind of interesting underbelly, um,
The everyday
or
people.
underworld.
The
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think that the epiphany of that, or sorry, the not the epiphany, wrong one, epitome of that, when it comes down to Jabba's power, is the katana.
Mm.
Um,
It's more
it's weird
interesting than
because
like his like little throne room. It's like an
yeah,
actual
yeah,
room.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that you know it looks sick and it's different. It's not a space vehicle that hovers. Yes, it hovers, but it's got sails. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like this.
Yeah, it's like a
It's like mixing it. It's a little bit like when Dooku's solar sailor, whatever his ship was. The idea of introducing almost old tech or old
mhm.
aesthetics to a piece of technology, and that's certainly the appeal that I had with or have with the katana. Interestingly, I mean, it is. I'm looking at it now. It's absolutely massive. Interestingly, and I think I've got a feeling it's going to absolutely demolish the secondary market for the original. If you want to
HasLab.
know the no, the original Lego model number 6210, which currently is on eBay on average of $1,500 or $1,200,
Mm.
£1,200, and it's tiny in comparison, tiny, tiny, tiny. And so when you consider this will be what $500, I think it's £430 in the UK. It's pretty good value. It's pretty good value. Although I won't be getting it. I haven't got room. Would I get it? Yes, I probably would because it's a Adam Savage says this all the time, and you know I'm a great. I love Adam Savage, but really good design, has a great silhouette, and
Mhm.
that the katana has a really good silhouette. If there were no features apart from the silhouette, you'd identify the Millennium Falcon. You would identify the Star Destroyer. You'd identify an AT-AT Walker. You'd identify the katana, and that would look mint on someone's um, on someone's shelf. I would like it, but
I
I
don't have a shelf
don't
for it.
love it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
don't
don't have the room for it, but I also don't love it. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to have it.
yeah.
I can admire it from afar. Um, because even though it is massive, it is enormous. It's a beautiful piece of kit. It's still only single story. Um,
Yeah. I've
I'm
got an
probably
interesting relationship with the Lego stuff anymore. It's like, I love them. I love when people get them. I love looking at the ones you have in the background.
yeah,
But I think for me, it's like, when I start getting space constrained, like, I've had to start asking myself of like, well, what is it that I really like about some of these things? Like, I do have
yeah,
my Thai bomber back here, but it's like, I used to have a bunch more when I lived in Indiana, but like, I sold a lot of them because like, I want, when I'm space constrained, I want the detail. And that's the thing I've always struggled with some of these like UCS ones. Like, yeah, I'd love to have that gigantic
yeah.
Millennium Falcon, but I just don't have the room. And then if I did have the room,
Well, dude,
like,
you know the story
yeah,
behind this. I mean, the reason why I got the UCS Falcon was because of lockdown. My
yeah. Well, I love building them. That's the best part. I just wish I could donate them
our
to somebody.
holiday our holiday had been. Oh, I'm not doing that. Our holiday had been cancelled. Um, we got a refund, and the kids were back with us. That they couldn't go to work, so they were back with us, and it was something that we did together as a team.
That's
Which
awesome.
is the reason why that Falcon in particular is not going anywhere. If anything else needs to eventually find a second home, then so
Nice.
be it. But that's going nowhere. Um, yeah, so yeah, it looks great. It looks great, and as I said, I will covet it, but I will covet it from afar. I don't think it's for me. Um, did you get the HasLab?
The the big one, like the katana or
Yeah,
the cantina, the newest one
no,
or the first?
the katana.
Yeah, I got that first one. Yeah,
Okay, and it's still boxed, isn't it?
it's still boxed right now. I didn't want to open it until I had like it's not like a ooh I'm saving it for the money kind of thing. It's been
No.
uh it's not even here. It's in Indiana, honestly.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I had it shipped there originally because I didn't want it to be here and worry about wildfires. And so it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
been there until I can figure out a longer term solution for that. And I'm glad I did because the secondary market for that was pretty insane for a while. I don't even know what it's up to. There's always one at cons, but they're always like double price. Uh,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
this toy fair that we're going to at the end of the month, they typically have that or the Razor Crest, and typically they're, you know, double the price. And ironically, it was either the last time or the time before that, Kev and I actually watched someone buy one. They actually paid cash. It's like, I'll take it off your
Wow.
hands, which is fair play. But seeing that kind of money exchange hands at a toy fair makes me very, very nervous.
Dude, I'll be honest with
Anyway,
you.
mate,
So,
sorry on.
Madison used to work for a company called Days of Wonder. They make the game like Ticket to Ride and Small World and
Oh,
blah
cool.
blah blah blah. That was where she worked before she did all the stuff she's doing now. Um, and they're like they as a part of that, like they came out with like a basically like the HasLab version of one of their games at one point in time called like Small World. But it was like this full big box version, yada yada yada. Um, and all the employees got one too because it was like crowdfunded and stuff.
Nice.
When it came time to like leave that job and do some other stuff, like she wasn't a big fan of the game, but I remember that was kind of my first entry point into this kind of world of like, oh, high end specialty products that like a very niche audience wants. And similar to like the conversation about that katana, like the amount of like just that whole experience of like some like putting that thing for sale and people were like, I have to have that. It's like it's a
Wow.
board game. Like it took me a minute. I was like, it's a board game, but just with like slightly different pieces like that. They don't affect the game. It's just like a really fancy version of it.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. Kind of opened my eyes to it of like, wow, that's
See,
that's wild.
that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I'm not. You know me now. I'm not shy at coming forward. I'm not. You know, I speak my mind.
Mhm.
I'd like to think I'm pretty engaging with anyone that I meet, just out of courtesy. You know, just out of being polite. But there's one thing that would give me so much anxiety, and that is selling stuff online. We got
Oh
rid
yeah.
of a bunch of stuff. Going off a tangent, but you know, it's another just shilling podcast, so it wouldn't be right if we didn't. But we we um we cleared out an awful lot from the old dump room.
Yeah.
Some of which is good stuff, like chairs and like next to new filing cabinet that I had that was never ever used. It was still in its shrink wrap, but it was 5 or 10 years old, so I couldn't take it back to the vendor. Um, and I just got rid of it. I took it to charity store, and Lucy said, "You're an idiot. You could get a good couple of £100 for this stuff." It's like I don't want I don't want the hassle. I don't want the hassle of dealing with the public. I don't want the hassle of managing people's expectations. I don't want the hassle of dealing with something if it goes wrong. And quite frankly, okay, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit on the original purpose, but with the exception of one or two things, they've been used. We've used them.
Yeah.
We have actually used them. And I'll just take the
Well, five
hit. And it,
in 5 to 10 years, that's pretty sunk cost too. That's
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And it's not, and it's But yeah, I feel you, man. I don't know, especially if it came down to some memorabilia or a collectible like that. I couldn't deal with the stress. I just couldn't deal with it. And I'd like
Well,
to think I'm a reasonably easygoing guy, but fuck that.
to your point a second ago, like I'm kind of the same way. I think I attribute a lot of mine to my grandfather was a hoarder of like antiques. Like there was always this like BS line of like, oh, we're gonna open an antique store. But really it's just collecting, hoarding layers upon layers of the display cabinets in their house with just junk with this belief. And I think some of it transitioned to my dad a little bit too of like everything has value, but it's like kind of pushing me into that mentality of like it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, like
Exactly.
at
Exactly.
that time. And then like also kind of being instilled in me a lot of like your time is money. And like I know people who will sell like literally anything on this like site called like Mercari or whatever instead of like taking it to Goodwill. And it's like to me that is such a struggle. I'm like I can't be bothered to take a photo of something, create a description, put it online, deal with shipping unless it's something of like real value that I want to like try to get that I think is worth not donating, like going to Goodwill or whatever and like getting lost in the ether. But like, oh, it's an old jacket. It's like, I'll donate it to like the mission or something like that. Or like, that's what these models, I'm like, they're like, oh, why don't you sell them? It's like, cause then I'd have to sell them. Like, I don't want to sell them. I just want to find, or like the old Black series. It's like, unless I can
Mm,
sell all of them at one time to like, and like not have to do it. Like my time is worth money. It's like, I would love to find a kid I could just give them to. Like,
mm,
I've got my enjoyment
mm.
out of it. I
Well, that's
paid,
what I did.
I paid for them and just like, that
Yep.
that was worth it. Now I wish I could just give them to somebody else and
That's
be done with
exactly
it.
that's exactly what I did. I got on like you. I got on the Black Series game. I also got on the Funko game as well.
Mm,
I have a little bit. I have my Wookiees, and I'll never
mhm.
get rid of my Wookiees. Well, they'll probably fall apart before I even need to consider giving them away. I have a few Funkos left, but quite frankly, I did exactly the same thing, and I took them to a local children's hospice
Nice.
charity and said, take these off my hands." And again, when you think about it, we go to cons all the time. We go to a lot of cons, especially see the second hand or the used Black Series, and they never really fetch anything. If it's our box, it never fetches anything over £10, let's say 12,
Yeah.
£13. And even then, that's at an inflated premium because you're at a con. It's just like I can't be bothered with the hassle. Yes, if I count all of these together, there's probably £200-300 worth there. But quite frankly, let these guys either use it or make money from it from reselling it. To
Well,
I just
the
don't
value is
want the
not
hassle, and
necessarily in the
it's
plastic.
quite liberating.
Yeah. And it's the value's not necessarily always in the plastic and like the physical item. It's in the experience, the way it made you
Yeah,
feel for however long you had it, and the experience of
yeah.
purchasing it too. Like that's a slippery slope, obviously, but like I do think it's fairly. I mean, this is me patting myself on the back, obviously, because people can disagree. But it's like I'll buy something and like feel the value of it, like enjoy the value of it, like and how it makes me feel. Like with the stuff in my own, like I'm not gonna have all this crap forever, but like
No,
if it sits in there for 5 years and then it's like I'm ready to let go of it. I don't need to sell it because that thing still has like
no.
an amortization schedule, like of like how much is it still worth? It's like no, I got my value. Like when I bought it, that feeling. and where
Well,
I was
that's
in a
it.
point in time, and I
That,
want to share
that
that with other
that's it.
people.
That's exactly it. You know, at the end of the day, if I had a positive experience from the buying experience and the, you know,
Mhm.
playing with my dollies, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute because there's a podcast I listened to this week that made me that really warmed my heart. Um, um, then yes, I probably would feel less inclined to even give them away anyway. But the fact is that I'm giving away stuff that's still boxed because I've got no
Mhm.
emotional attachment to that in the first place. I could kick myself for buying it for falling down that rabbit hole in the first place, but
Mhm.
also it's like, yeah, you're doing the right thing, and you're not a junkie anymore. You're not a
Yeah.
plastic junkie anymore. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, the hit is painful, but quite frankly, this is part of your
Road to recovery.
recuperation, your road to recovery. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, it looks great. Looks great. Okay, so where are we? Right. So
Consuming.
consuming, aka watching, listening, reading, playing. Now we didn't cover this on Sunday, so we have had a week since we spoke about this. What have you been consuming, mate? I must admit, despite it being a week, it's not a lot, but you go first.
Um, Consumed a couple things. A little bit of Star Wars Outlaws. So I've played a little bit of Star Wars Outlaws, but I've had kind of like an epiphany that I just want to mention really quick. I haven't had it like the game isn't as addictive as other Star Wars games have been. That's not a problem. But what it is
Yeah.
doing is it's making me want to play Squadrons more. Like I haven't picked that game up in
Oh
a very
wow.
long time. But what's interesting is like I play Outlaws and I'm like, you know what? I should really boot Squadrons back up. That game was way better than it had any right to be. And I miss that like detailed fight. It's like, so when I get done with this, I'm gonna play that if I ever finish this, when I finish this. But no, I just thought that was interesting. Like I haven't
It's
had
a
a
good
game
game.
make me want to play that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's
Um,
a really, really good game, and I love the whole. Yeah, it took a little bit you getting used to, and it was mainly because it was on rails. So you
yeah.
think about, you think about what it was to when you walk around the hangar. You're not walking around the hangar. You've got five directions you can point your character into engage with somebody else.
Mhm.
But the experience once you're in the cockpit, flipping brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And I've heard the VR experience is extremely good. Extremely good.
I might be getting too old for that. I have like there's
Oh,
times I
I
get in
can't do
VR, I'm
it.
like
Oh, dude, I can't do it. Even with my new robotic eye, I can't do that. I can't do VR. There is some sort of um, imbalance in my brain, which may well be self-induced. Maybe self-induced. I got no idea what it is, dude. But I can tell you now, I do not have a good time in VR. And of course, in my job over the years, we've had to jump in and kind of get behind VR, and I just it's hard for me. It's really, really hard. In
yeah,
fact,
I'll
oh
I'll
no,
get behind it. I'll get behind it. I'll be the person behind somebody else.
yeah, I'll
I'll
catch
put my
you.
hand
I'll
on their
catch you
shoulder
when
and be
you.
like, I got you. You got it.
Yeah, exactly,
Like this is neat. Um,
exactly.
the other thing,
No, there,
uh,
there is no there,
go
there
ahead.
there is there is something between my eyes, my ear. There is something between my senses that when I'm in a VR environment, it doesn't like it. My brain just doesn't like it. Um,
That's
and there's
fair.
a certain amount of claustrophobia that I feel in that environment. I would say it's akin to the way I feel when I when I get on a long haul flight. Anyway, sorry.
I mean,
What else have you been
me, it's like
consuming, mate?
the immersion. Like I'm okay knowing it's a video game. I don't need to be that immersed.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be in the race car looking out the window and there's a car beside me. Like I'm okay with like I don't got that kind of time to just be like I'm a race car driver today. Although I do see those internet videos of people with like the full like room with the aircraft like 19 monitors and the setup that like
Oh,
shifts
that's
all
different.
around and they're
No,
flying an
that's different.
A10. I'm like, "Oh, dude, if I
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
had
yeah.
if
No, no,
I
no.
had
We
$1 billion
had
dollars."
Yeah, we had something a rig like that at work for Forza.
Flight simulator. That's the word I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a rig like that. I mean, it didn't do the up and down, but it certainly did the left, right, and the bank and everything for
Yeah.
Forza, and it's a great experience. But then it it's simulating you being in a car. You know, you don't have your face right on the windscreen, so it didn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't that claustrophobia that I feel when I'm in VR. But
Makes
yeah,
sense.
no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, though, mate. Anything
Another
else?
quick one. Another quick one. We've watched some more 8686. We're not done yet. Um,
It's on my
it's
list.
I'm not gonna say anything, but it's like you see my eyes. It's like it's getting wild. It's getting weird.
Hmm.
Cool. I'm liking it so far. It's still got a little ways to go. I have no idea where it's gonna go. I have a feeling it's not gonna be a happy ending. I don't know. We'll see. Like that's not a
Hmm.
spoiler. It's just like it's just not a happy thing. The other thing I have to talk about is Rebuild the Galaxy. But I'd love to hear what you've watched and done before that.
Yeah, so I finished Rebuild the Galaxy literally 5 minutes before we started recording. So let's leave that because we can talk about it together. Um, Nearly finished Terminator Zero. I've only got about 45 minutes to an hour left, but nearly finished that. And one of the reasons why I've been delayed is that Lucy started watching Slow Horses. Now, Slow Horses is a UK drama based on Apple TV. Stars Gary Oldman, um,
Mhm.
the great Gary Oldman. And it's a really, really good drama. It's a really, really good series. And between us, accidentally, we found ourselves putting everything else to the side. And we've burnt through the first 3 seasons. And in fact, we're on the last season now. So we're actually started watching the last season, which is because we've caught up with ourselves. It's now being released week on week. But goodness me, I'm not surprised it's won a lot of Brit Awards. Sorry, not Brit Awards. What they call it, the BAFTA Awards, which is the
Mm.
UK version of the Grammys. It's won an awful lot of accolades because it's very, very good. The premise is it's like a poor man's James Bond, and what I mean by that is that you've got the premise is that it's all about MI5, so the Secret Service that looks after the safety and the security of the UK, both internally and abroad. And within the MI5, there are dropouts. There are candidates that are good at what they do, but they don't quite cut the mustard, typically because they've got personal problems of one sort or another. And so they get, I wouldn't say kicked out of MI5, they get redeployed so that they're not part of the grandiose that is the MI5 headquarters, which is called the Park. The Park. It's not part of the these futuristic office buildings. They get put in probably one of the most rundown buildings in central London called Slough House to basically do the grunts work. And the team, you've got an alcoholic, you've got a gambler, you've got people that have emotional problems, people that have aggressiveness. Sorry, that are too aggressive. There's one lady that's a junkie. So while
Mm.
she's an MI5 agent, she's whacked out on whiz, and they've been put. They are the dropouts, and they work for Gary Oldman, who is this slovenly, grotesque man that's as sharp as a button. I mean, he's horrible. He's a horrible, horrible, repugnant man. He's unclean. He's doesn't look after himself. He's overweight. He needs a bath. He's pretty gross, but
Yeah.
he's clever and he gets the most out of these kids. And it's a really, really good story. And season 3, whereas seasons 1 and 2 were they had a story for that there was a plot, there was a threat, that they solved, not in the most, not in the best of ways. Typically, they get in trouble with the way that they actually fix the problem. But in season 3, it was a lot more introverted, and it was all about, and the story is progressing with them as individuals. And
Mm,
season 4, which we're on at the moment, is about one particular individual with the team that doesn't seem to have any bearing to other activities that are going on in mainstream crime land,
okay.
and terrorism that's going on. But there seems to be an intrinsic link there of some kind or another. It's really, really good. Do recommend it. It's on Apple TV. Again, we've been speaking about Apple in recent weeks and months about just how freaking good they are at commissioning the right kind of program, which I'm really, really chuffed about. And so I do recommend it. It's intelligent. It's intelligent drama, but it's quite easy to follow.
Question for you.
Yeah.
I've always been this is kind of tangential a little bit of like I've always been familiar with like MI5, MI6 through movies and whatever. Are the various MI numbers, are those common knowledge? This is like a dumb American question. Are they like common knowledge over there? Like, oh, there's 1 through 19 and here's what they are. Or is it just like 'cause I looked it up while you were talking. I'm like, what is 5 and 6? And then I went to the Wikipedia page and like, oh my god, there's actually a lot of them. And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
don't.
oh, is that
Yeah,
common?
I mean, it's all part of the Secret Service. I mean, MI6 is the Secret Intelligence Service, which is basically the world service, if you like. Whereas I
Hmm,
believe MI5 is the security service, so it's more internal. It's national security, whereas MI6 is more international.
okay.
Um,
Thought that was in,
but
thought that was
yeah,
interesting.
do I know what they do? Not really. I think that's the point of, certainly awful lot of point of the show, is that some of the things that they do you don't really want to know about, because it's a job that no one really should know about, because it's
Well,
pretty
but yeah,
unsavory.
but if somebody was like, "Oh, MI17," which doesn't roll off the tongue the same, I'm like, "Oh yeah,
No,
that's the bloody blah." It's really just 5 and 6 are the ones that are like in the
that's what
cultural.
I know of, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Let me
No,
have a quick look. Is there an
well, I mean
MI4?
that was that was the question of like, what are people familiar with? I mean, it looks like there's 19 of them. A lot of them ended after World War II, and they're all listed. But it's like, oh, are 5 and 6 the same kind of level of awareness? Like, those are the ones people are aware of, like, "Oh, yeah, I know
So
5 and 6."
MI4, yeah, MI4 is military intelligence. So, oh mate, I got no idea. I got
That's
no
fine.
idea.
That's the answer I'm looking for. Like, it's like,
No
because I was
idea.
like, "Oh, shit, do they all know?" Like, "Oh, 16, yeah, that's the dogs and cats one," or like, whatever, and as an
It
American, I
could
just
well
know 5
be.
and 6.
Of course, you then type in MI3, and it's like it's now going to Mission Impossible. Um, I don't know, mate.
Oh,
I don't know.
that's all. I was just curious.
The only one, I mean,
Tangent.
the ones that the ones that are mainstream are MI5 and MI6, and the
Okay,
MI6
I was curious.
building is on the water, is on the River Thames in on the south coast of, sorry, the south side of the river. Anyway, yeah. So Terminator Zero, Slow Horses. Still watching Rings of Power. Up to date on that. It'd be great when we're not that far away now, so it'd be great to catch up with you at some point about that. Um, Everything else, Cobra Kai, Ones Who Live, Scrubs, Time Bandits. Oh, Time Bandits, got to talk about Time Bandits and Rebel Moon, Director's Cut Part 2. All on the back burner. I will get around to it. I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot of dark, cold, and miserable nights coming up, which will give me the perfect opportunity to catch up on those, but also start watching The Bear, Outer Range, and 8686. Yeah, on Time Bandits, we heard this week that hasn't been renewed for a season 2. Um, it's sad. It's sad that
Yeah.
it's a little bit like, I was about to say it's a little bit like The Acolyte, but I felt very differently about The Acolyte than I did Time Bandits. Time Bandits was fine. It didn't feel like Time Bandits with me, because I didn't particularly, the the style of the storytelling didn't particularly resonate with me. But then again, I
Mhm.
doubt I was very much the target demographic. It not being renewed for season two, I'm not gutted in any way because at the moment I'm struggling to get back into watching the rest of the season. Um,
Who
but
was the
I am.
demographic?
I don't know, mate, because it's. I don't know, mate, because it's time balance has always been a very a very mature Monty Python sense of humor focused on kids. Um,
Yeah,
anyway, I'm not. Yeah, how I feel about it is really neither here nor there. I am just sad for the industry at the moment. It's like
yeah.
we've talked about this, wax lyrical for the last couple of weeks. I just feel that the industry as a whole needs to work out what it is and what it wants to be, um, and how they're going to
It'd be
pay
nice
for it.
it'd be nice if there was less content, but they paid people better. Because I think that's the part. It's easy to get mixed up. It's like, "Oh, these
Yeah.
people are getting shows getting canceled. They're not gonna have work." It's like, I think there's a world where we can have both of, like, people can get paid a living wage and, like, not have to be struggling all the time, but also, like, not all this content that doesn't need to get made. Like,
Well, in the old days, they used to keep the industry going during the dark times of national of recession. Um, Hollywood used to hire contract actors and contract staff. Do you know what I mean? So
mhm,
they would be, a contract actor. I think that's how Harrison Ford started off. So it wouldn't be, hey, Mr. Ford, I have a production here, a TV series that I'd like to use you for. They literally had a pool of actors that they were paying. They paid a holder's fee for them. They were pulling a wage. They were obviously not paid anywhere near the kind of salaries that you'd expect from A-listers or anything like that. But it kept the industry going because
yep,
they had this pool of actors, of creative teams, of camera teams, of lighting teams, of sound teams, and so on and so forth. That they were able to use and to kind of strategically place around the organization depending on what production was going on, and it was efficient because you may well have the same teams working on more than one production at any one time depending on the schedule, but you'd also have this kind of consistent loyalty, not loyalty, but you'd have a consistent bank of personnel that you could pull from. And I listened to an interview once with Harrison Ford, which is the reason why I believe he was a contractor stuff. And he said that in the early days, without that, he wouldn't have been able to, when he first moved to LA, he wouldn't have had a chance in hell, hope in hell. Yes, we all know the famous story about him being a carpenter and doing some carpentry work on the side to earn some bucks. But ultimately, actors like that, um, it's very, very hard to get their lucky break, and they didn't have to rely on a lucky break if they're getting some sort of ongoing, albeit small, revenue stream from the studios. Anyway, sorry, but yeah, I mean, time balance is going. I don't know. It's just the industry, man. It's just like what is it? What does it want to be? You're pulling. You want to
line's gotta go
sustain your
up.
base. Well, again, I don't want to go over the subject again, but you want your numbers to go up. You want your subscribers to be loyal and to renew, preferably on an annual basis, because you get the revenue up front rather than drip fed over a year. And yet you pull content or reduce the content. It's like I, I don't know what your model is. Anyway, and I'm not I'm not professing to know anything about the industry, but it's just a weird time we're in at the moment. So that's unfortunately not going to be renewed. Playing Outlaws, but as I said, I lost an hour of gameplay. I hope to get that back over the coming days. And listening to, and I don't want to get in the habit of calling out the Sackhoff Show every single week, but I have to call it out this week because of two reasons. Um, this week, Katie interviewed Paul Sung Hyung Lee, um, who everyone will know from Kim's Convenience, and of course, he played Carson from The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and indeed Ahsoka as well. And I'm guessing is going to get a pretty good part or a substantial part in the new Mando and Grogu film. But I could listen to him all day long, and he's such a humble guy. He's such a nice guy. He's such a caring guy. He's appreciative of where he is in his career. He's appreciative of all the people that have helped him along the way. He recognizes, but is not bitter about those people or the circumstances that may well have pushed him back from making progress in his career, particularly his race. But what a fucking guy. And there's two things that I took away from it, which is the reason why I had to mention it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mentioned it. He initially was talking about the hate that's out there on X, on other platforms, but mainly X. And he was talking about why people find it necessary when they don't like something to tell you they don't like something, and then to, but you don't understand. I don't like it for this reason. That's fine. That's fine. No. Let me tell you even more. Let me just driving that point home. And he said something like, "Dude, this isn't an airport. You don't need to announce your departure." And I thought that is brilliant. It may or may not be an original quote, but what a philosophy. Absolutely right. All the haters out there that just keep going and going and going. It's like, just go. Just go. And the second part that I really, really enjoyed was, and this is linked to the comment I made earlier on about playing with dollies and the excitement of buying something. He said he was asked about his collecting because he buys things like Hot Toys and the rest of it, which I think is hilarious. And he's a member of the 501st, the Toronto. I think it's Toronto garrison of the 501st, which I think is hilarious. He said people think you get old and then you stop playing, when actually people get old when they stop playing, which I thought was really again another really, really sound philosophy. Again, I'm not gonna bring this podcast up every week, but this week again, she had a guest that was absolute gold, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. That's it, mate. That's it for me. That's been my 7 days in consumption.
Well, we've got 10 more minutes if we want to try to hit our consistent 1:32:23.
Oh, that was so freaky.
Time limit.
That was so freaky.
For context,
yeah.
Go ahead. You discovered it. It's on you.
Yeah, I don't care. You tell him. I still think that we're haunted.
Well, explain that theory. You got 10 minutes.
Right. So Sean loaded up the Sunday's episode on my Monday morning, his Sunday evening, and when I checked the runtime, because we were tight on time, our buddy Steve had commitments, and Andy was already going off on tangents, as you probably heard. But anyway, when the episode was loaded up, and if you go to your podcast catcher of choice, you'll notice that Sunday and last week have the exact same running time to the second, 1 hour 32:23, which freaked me right out. Yeah. So
if you would have said something and I would have noticed that, I would have been like, "That's a bug. Something's wrong," and I would have spent a lot of time trying to make sure that I didn't upload the wrong episode. And
yeah,
I'm glad you caught it and not me.
Yeah. No, it weirded me out a little bit, but yeah, that's it, mate. Is there anything else that I'm trying to think of? Anything that's on our radar at the moment that we need to be aware of? We've got some eyes in the fire for more guests, which is good.
Yeah.
We've got some, and I do hope we keep it going as consistently as we possibly can, because it makes such a difference. But we've also got some good stuff to look forward to.
I've got a bunch of time coming up. I got a bunch of time next week, like we talked about before jumping on. So I'm going to be able to get caught up on Rings of Power, um, and
Yes.
chug through and catch up to you on Outlaws and stuff like that. Because I know it's been rough. Oh, and we never talked about Rebuild the Galaxy.
Oh, holy crap! Let's do it now. Let's try and
Yeah.
do it in 9 minutes. And no, let's just lower it. No, no. Just, look, the thing is though, the OCD in me will be looking at the counter now, so I can't look your way because I don't want to do this. I don't want to. I don't want this to become a thing. I really don't want this to become a thing. So, Rebuild the Galaxy, mate. I finished as I said, 5 minutes before we started recording. What did you think?
So a little background context, really quick. I've always watched the Lego stuff, but they've always just been like supplementary, just kind of fun, goofy things because I feel like they've never really had a compelling story. It's always just been goofy Lego stuff. But this one, I know I messaged you last night about it. I'm like, I put it on. It's kind of like a background thing, but it's actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it. And then by like the final 2 episodes, 'cause it's 4 episodes, the last 2 episodes, like I stopped what I was doing and like legitimately watched them. It had its Lego humor in it, but like there were some parts that like actually got like verbal laughs from me. The story I
Mm,
thought was really compelling, and like
mm.
I don't know, they just like whatever that formula is, this one knocked it out of the park for me.
And
What about you?
I loved it. I thought it was really. I mean, I've always liked the Lego stuff anyway. I did find uh, so there was some stuff that they did about 10, 15 years ago, the Lego animator guys, and it got into, is it called the Yoda Chronicles? Yoda
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chronicles, and there was some other stuff as well, which kind of became a little bit meh for me. It was a little bit gimmicky. But then they came
Mhm.
out with the Freemaker Adventures, and I thought the Freemaker Adventures, I don't know if you ever saw that. I
I
really
did.
enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed that. And in fact, if they had dialed down, no, you don't want to dial down the humor in a Lego show. It's a Lego show. But if it had every right to be a legitimate live action TV series,
Mhm.
um, of a serious of a serious nature. Um, well, light-hearted, serious nature. I thought it was really, really good, really, really good. That whole story. Um, and then I really, really enjoyed some of the Christmas and Halloween specials that they've done, but they have been a gimmick. It's been kind of gimmicky. The way I felt about Reboot on the Galaxy was a little bit like the way I felt about um, the way I felt a little bit about the Freemaker Adventures as well. What I found really, really interesting was the ending.
Yeah,
Was that the changes are the changes, are the changes, are the changes.
in that
That's the
universe, yeah, it's
galaxy.
like, yeah, that's
And
their
I wonder if, and maybe I'm looking at this too deeply, but you know how I would like to think that you and I are reasonably easygoing when it comes down to Star Wars. What is canon? What isn't canon?
sure.
What is good Star Wars? What is bad Star Wars? It's like, just pick what you want. Just pick what you want and what you love, and hold on to it. You know, hold on to it tightly, and really take pleasure out of it. Don't sweat the small stuff. And one of the subliminal messages I got from this was that just do what you want. And I guess some of it as well also kind of links with the Lego movie, where you've got the dad played by Will Ferrell, and it's like, no, Lego has to be built this way. It's got to be built this way. It can't be built this way.
Yeah,
And I felt there was a little bit of that kind of um, commentary going on a little bit
yeah.
in this as well. And then for the ending to be, everything has changed. It's almost like I'm just wondering, is there a little bit of social commentary there, just to say,
A hundred
guys,
percent.
just make Star Wars what you want it to be and stop stressing out and move on, for God's sakes. Nothing to see here. Move on.
I think there's absolutely social commentary in there, like, and there's points in it that it's more direct, and I think more like in their face a little bit. Uh, but I think the ending was a kind of a very poignant middle ground of like, can't it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what is canon or truth. It's like, because it can be like, it's not multiverse for the sake of multiverse, but it's like it can just be what it is, and you can enjoy it or not, like, and you can't change it. Like, that's kind of the key. Like, and you just got to live with it, and like, and deal the hand you're
Yeah.
dealt, and like, it is. I really enjoyed it, dude. There were some parts that had me, like, some of the funnier parts were also kind of laced with that social commentary. Like the Darth Jar Jar stuff was hilarious. I just thought it was like,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the goofiness of it, but it was like how
Yeah.
rooted in the reality it was.
Yeah.
The fact there was like Darth Ray and Darth Rose Tico, and they like it had Kelly Marie Tran and Ahmed Best in it.
Oh,
Like,
I thought the
loved it.
casting was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The fact that they brought back, to your point, they had a couple of they had Gayton from Stranger Things. They had Tony from
Mhm.
the Spider-Man series. Obviously, usual voice suspects like D. Bradley Baker and Bobby Moynihan. Um, Obviously, Anthony Daniels. Of course, you can't have anything with C3PO without Anthony Daniels.
Anthony
Mark
Paycheck. Yep.
Hamill, Anthony Paycheck. Did I tell you I have a book? Oh, move on.
Yeah.
Sam Whitmer. But what really, really warmed my heart, the fact that Ahmed Best, Kelly Marie Tran was there. One thing I can't find is the lady. I'm going to have to look up Rise of Skywalker. You
The
know
Dark Ray.
No. No. Ray is the same voice that plays Ray in the other Lego.
Hmm.
It's the what's the name of the female? What's the name of the female stormtrooper that rebels like Finn, and she good God, she's not even in the main lineup. That's Jana. Jana was I'm sure was there as well. She was dark the dark lady with the goggles on her head, and I'm sure that was Jana. And I just want to double check whether, because it sounded so much like Naomi Aki, and I just want to know if she was also in the show as well. She was. She was. Yay! Good ears, Belle. Yes, she
Okay, that's
was.
a
So
I don't. Like, you're talking about it, I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But now,
oh, she's Jedi Jana. Sorry, she wasn't Darth Jana. She was Jedi Jana. So
oh yeah,
on
yeah,
that. And there was other things, about it that really came back to my. I've got to keep talking, by the way, because we're nearly at time, and I want to go over time so that we're not jinxed. I'm going. We're over time. Good. I feel better now. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. There are a couple of things that really, again, made me giggle because it reminded me of my childhood. The first was the X-wing TIE fighters, or the X
yeah,
fighters, was
yeah.
sick. I thought actually it's a really good design, and my brain went back to a time that in the comics there was our heroes were coming across a bunch of pirates, and the pirates were all flying what they called uglies,
The
and those
cobbled
uglies
together things.
were
Yeah,
they were X-wing fuselages with TIE fighter wings and vice versa, and I thought that was wicked. What made me laugh the most was the fact that the sandcrawler had 4 AT-AT legs underneath it,
yeah.
because seriously, as a kid, I didn't have it, we were I didn't have a lot of Star Wars. My mum, she worked her butt off and did as best she could for me, but I didn't have an awful lot of Star Wars toys, and so therefore, the year that I got an AT-AT, which unfortunately is now in a landfill somewhere in Sydney, Australia. But the AT-AT that I had, which I wish I still had, became a spaceship as well, even though it was an
Mhm.
AT-AT. And so watching those guys, I used to turn in my imagination, the Millennium Falcon was fighting a ship that just happened to look like a an AT-AT, but with the old AT-AT, you used to be able to stretch the legs out. So it was
Yeah.
almost like flat, like
Super
Superman flying.
like a Superman flying, yeah.
Yeah. So that became a spaceship as well because I didn't have anything else for it for the Millennium Falcon to fight against. And so seeing that the sandcrawler cobbled with an AT-AT, and then for it to find its way flying into hyperspace,
That
it
was
really
that
is
was the
brilliant.
part that I thought was funny, 'cause I know in the previews they showed the sandcrawlers with the AT-AT legs walking, but then when it got to the point where it's literally flying in space and, like, the legs aren't out, they're not even moving, they're just dangling there underneath the sandcrawler, like, flying around in space like a spaceship. It's like, dude, I'd love to be on the just a fly on the wall for the creative team that gets to do these Lego movies, because you have to, like, be familiar with, like, the universe of Lego and, like, what they allow. Star Wars, and just it's like that's gotta be just the funniest thing ever to be like, "What if we did a
Yeah,
Sandcrawler?" Like, because there was a couple other things that they even called out where they're like, "Oh, they'll just do anything now. Like, they'll just let anything slide." And, like, some of it was just so funny. Like, I've always appreciated the Lego stuff, but this one just really upped the bar for me, and, like, to a point where I'd actually recommend it. The other ones are like, I enjoyed them, but I don't think anybody's really missing out on much if they don't watch
yeah.
them. Like the Halloween stuff, like the summer vacation one, it's like, whatever. It was entertaining. But this one's like,
The
it's good.
Halloween one I thought was quite good when they went into Vader's castle and the hut dude was trying to turn it into like a casino. I thought that was
Yeah.
quite funny. That one was quite good, and it went from one little anthology story to the next, and just a series, a bit like Vader's castle tales in the comics, but albeit
Yeah.
with that Lego slant to it. I thought that was quite a good one as well. That I did find quite funny, and that's only because I actually find that character in Clone Jabba's cousin. What's his name?
Zero
Zero.
the Hut.
Yeah. I find that character hilarious, absolutely hilarious, in the same vein as Hondo.
Oh,
Cool,
dude, I'm
cool,
gonna
very
lose my
cool.
mind. I'm gonna lose my mind if Hondo shows up in Skeleton Crew, just so you know.
Oh, mate,
I'm gonna yell.
I would love to. Sorry, I would love for it to happen. I'd love to manifest that. That would be
And I'm
so
not even a
good
big
to
cameo guy. I'm
make it
not a big
happen.
like Luke Skywalker's gotta be in everything, but like Hondo in live action, that'll be like the full circle moment that I'm here for. It's like,
Well,
yes,
it's such a
let's
good.
do
I
it.
mean, again, it would be such a good strategy. It would be such a good strategy. The let's face it, the marketeers and the planning team have somewhat been out to lunch over latest years. They've got an opportunity to bring Hondo into Hondo's coming into Outlaws, which is before right. It's before Jedi, but it's not. It's very very feasible that there is the the story or his plot in the DLC that we get may well link to something up post Jedi. Secondly, he's already at Galaxy's Edge. Then we've got Skeleton Crew and this space pirate fervor going on at the moment. It would make sense for it to be a thing going forward because it's low risk. It's low risk. He's not one of the key characters. His decision making doesn't dictate the fate of the galaxy. If he
He's a
fucks up, he
catalyst.
means exactly. But not even that. But it's just so much low risk fun to piss
Yeah,
around the
that's
galaxy with a pirate who's basically just wants to get paid and make a load of money. It's a bit like
well,
how I
that's what I
feel
love
about
about him.
Lando.
Well, that's what I love about Hondo. It's just like he's just an instrument of chaos. Like he's just
Yeah,
doing his thing, vibing, hanging out, being silly, and then he is just a catalyst for chaos wherever he goes, and I love it.
yeah,
Like because
yeah.
it is non-serious. Like he just comes in, he's like, "Hello, I can't do the voice. I can hello, I'm Hondo Anaka." And then just things start falling apart. And it's like, yes,
Yeah.
more like he's got like the chaos force. Like just a bubble around him that whoever he's around, like we know people like
But
this.
look at
Like we all know people in
but
our
look
lives
at
who are like, you're a Hondo, just popping in and be like messing things up in a good way.
but one of the most critically, I agree 100%. And there's so many proof points to support this idea. One of the most critically acclaimed Star Wars production is Andor. It's a story about the any man. It's a story about someone who is inconsequential. He's not a hero. He wants out of the system. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. And the story is so fucking compelling. When we meet him, little did we, of course he didn't realize 5 years later, the actions of him and a bunch of other rebels are going to obviously change the face of the galaxy, or the fate of the galaxy. But it's that any man story that is so flipping interesting, but most importantly fun, because it's low risk. There's nothing about the Skywalkers there. You're not going to upset anyone around whether they're keeping to canon or not. It's just low risk, entertaining, fun. Go for it. Plus, on top of that, another proof point, you've also got a Disney Parks needs to think about the refresh. Do you understand what I mean by that? They're going to have to think about what happens next. Do we stick with the First Order piece? Well, are people's minds still in the sequel trilogy? I would suggest not. Maybe change the period, maybe change the time, make it relevant, make it fresh for today. Because let's face it, Rise of Skywalker came out in 2019. That's nearly 5 years old. It's 5 years old now, and it's based around that time, if not prior to that. They need to think about this, and so keep the infrastructure that you've got, but maybe rethink it a little, just a little bit. Turn the stick a round radar dish on the Falcon, and remove the square one that's currently there. You're good to go. You're good to go for another 5-10 years. Turn the keep Hondo there because he's still around today, but turn the Rise of the Resistance into a pirate ship. Keep the infrastructure there. Just clad it or veneer it in something else. Turn it into a pirate ship.
Well, the Rise of the Resistance is the one that's like got Kylo Ren in it, and that's the only thing that I think they would need to change, because everything else that's Rise of the Resistance that's sequel era related it's all digital. You could replace Rey, you could replace Finn and Poe,
right?
All the other characters, like, you just need to figure out a way to like change the lightsaber parts with Kylo in them. But the Falcon ride, that's already changed. It's already going to be Mando. They're already doing the Mando and Grogu overlay on it.
Yes. Proof point number 3. Exactly. It's all connected, and it makes sense for it to be. It makes so much sense to make it a bit of fun.
I'm excited.
We already know that we've already seen Zeb. We already saw Zeb at the beginning of Ahsoka. We already know that he's going to be there in Mando and Grogu. So they introduced him. It's almost like a Petri dish. It's almost like a test. They've tested Zeb. Does he land? Does he work? Does he look all right? Are the fans going to accept this effect that we're trying to achieve? The fans responded favorably. Okay, let's stick him in Mando and Grogu. You Skeleton Crew do the same thing with Hondo. Ho, ho, ho.
I'm not gonna lie. I looked up, like, could Zero the Hutt show up in Skeleton Crew? But I forgot Zero the Hutt died. It's like, all right, could
did he?
There be back in like the Clone Wars, he got shot by like Snice Noodles or whoever it was.
Oh shit!
I mean, it's Clone Wars. That was also a long, like, but who cares? Bring him back. Make a twin, like Zero, and name one Hero, like Hero the Hutt, like, just
No, I love Zero that
Zero to
character.
Hero.
Yeah, I loved it.
I just love the voice and how irritating it is. And it's like, and I'm sure that would just get under.
I also love how they really, really amped up Snice Noodles during the Clone Wars as well, during the Clone Wars run as well, and that whole dynamic between him and Sai. I thought it was absolutely superb. Yeah, I love that. I love that kind of gangster and his mole kind of take on the whole thing. Dude, we've done better than we thought. For a quiet week, we've done 1 hour 44. And we've broken the curse as well.
The joke's on you. I'm gonna sit there and try to find a way to cut out 10 minutes of dead air episode. I'll speed it up by like 0.001% just to get it to aligned. I won't do that, but
I dare you. I dare you. If you've got that time,
I gotta watch Rings of Power.
Yeah, you got that kind of time on your hands. It's like, okay, fair play. You deserve that. All right, dude. Well, thank you very much for recording again this week. I love it. We wouldn't, we only spoke 3 days ago, sorry. And we wouldn't be going for this. I wouldn't be going for this long if I didn't enjoy talking to you every week. So thank you very much for your time and for recording with me.
Thanks for
Take us out, mate.
Well, I'm trying. Should we do our tips first or the outro? What do you want to do? Because I remembered it this week. I'm not going to let you call me on it.
I think you should let folk know where they can find us.
Okay.
And then I think that we should end prior to the goodbyes with tip of the week.
Okay. Here we go. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Don't forget you can check out our website at justshillin.com for more awesome content and ways to connect with us, like Instagram, email, other stuff like that. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Until next time. Andy, let's hear your tip first, and then I'll end with mine.
I don't have. I found one on the fly last week because you didn't have one. I thought this was your gig.
Oh, okay, it is my gig, but you've been contributing too. So I got it. Here we go. Feedback in relationships and work is like taking out the garbage. Stay on top of it often, or it will pile up and be difficult to deal with. Feedback is like taking out the trash. Don't forget that.
I'm glad that's a good one because I'm glad in my haste for looking for a top tip of the week, I got some tips on gambling, which I don't think is particularly appropriate for this podcast, particularly around football or, in your words, soccer. Anyway, have a great week, folks. We'll catch you same time, hopefully same place next week. Thank you for listening. Take care now.
Bye.